Hi everyone. It has been a long time since I've put out a video, and I would have to say that 2020 has been a very challenging year. In fact, I think that's an understatement, and I'm sure most of you will agree that it has been one crazy year. So I do hope that everyone has been doing well, that you've been staying healthy and taking the precautions that you need to stay safe. So because this looks like, it's going to continue for longer than probably most of us expected, and we just have to deal with it, but we can still be positive and we can encourage one another just to keep on going through this difficult time. So I don't want to deal too much with that because I know that probably most of you have been dealing with stresses and so forth. So we don't need to talk about things that just aren't very encouraging. None of us needs that right now. But what I thought I would do was because, like I mentioned, it's been a crazy year, but not just because of the COVID situation, but for myself personally. My husband and I had been through a lot of changes. We moved, we sold our home. We had plans, we were going to be moving out of the country. And this all was taking place, before the COVID started. So we were well into our plans and we were actually on our way to move out once things started shutting down. So that really, it really did throw us for a bit of a loop because we were excited and we had definite things that we had planned, and those plans that we had, at least for now, have been put on hold. So in the meantime, what I thought I would do is I would just share something a little bit fun. We had an adventure through the summer. It was part of our plans pre-COVID, that got derailed. But at least, in retrospect, when I look back, I am so glad that we didn't know that our plans were going to change, because if we did, we wouldn't have continued on and we would have missed out on so many great experiences that we were able to enjoy because we didn't realize that our plans were going to stop. So we just went ahead and we had some really good experiences. So that's what this video is going to be about. We took a cross-country trip across Canada. So we are originally from Ontario, Canada, and we thought, now before we move out of the country, it has always been a dream of ours to take a road trip and drive, coast to coast. Not quite coast to coast because we are in Ontario, but we wanted to drive out. It's pretty close. We wanted to drive all the way out to BC. And we thought this last summer was the year to do that, the summer of 2020, and so we did. And then we would carry on with moving out of the country after we experienced that. So we did. We sold our house. We got rid of a lot of our possessions and just kind of kept the essentials that we thought that we were going to need, and we packed a trailer because, believe it or not, I planned on continuing with my yarn dyeing business. So we brought, I have a big oven that I cook the yarn in, so we brought that. We brought all of my dyes, all of my pans that I dye the yarn in, we brought tons of yarn because I was going to continue dyeing for stores and for my shop while we were away too over the summer, because we were going to stay in a cabin for a few months in BC. So that was the plan, and so we did that. So that's what this video is about. It might be kind of long, so I think I'm going to put it in 2 parts, but it's going to show our cross-country trip from Ontario all the way out west. We went as far as Vancouver Island, and we saw some amazing things and we had some wonderful experiences. So I'm going to show that, and not only just the sights that we saw, but I did a lot of crocheting and knitting on our trip, and also I dyed a ton of yarn, and I had to ship out a lot of yarn too. So I'm going to be showing all of those things, so there'll be lots of yarny content in this video as well. Oh, also, like I said, I did a lot of knitting and crocheting, so all the way out west. That's a nice thing about traveling. My husband did all of the driving, I should say, so that gave me just hours and hours to work on some projects. So I did a crochet design, and so all the way out west I crocheted, and then on the way back I was able to knit all the way back, because there was a sweater design that a wonderful designer, she used my yarn, which was a wonderful treat to do one of her designs. It was Caitlin Hunter from Boyland Knitworks. You've probably heard of her. So while we were out west, she purchased some of my yarn and she did a design. So I got to test knit that design before she launched it in the fall. So all the way back from out west, I worked on test knitting that pattern so that I could show a version of it when she was ready to release it. So a lot of exciting things happened, and if you stay tuned for the 2 parts, you'll see all the things that we were up to on our trip and the fun that we had. And also too, in the comments below, if any of the locations that we went through on our trip, if you've been there, or if there's any places that you can suggest that would be wonderful places to visit across Canada, please leave those in the comments, because my husband and I had such a great time on this trip, and if possible we would love to do it again, because we just couldn't cover everything that we wanted. And two, because of the COVID, there were some locations that we weren't able to go in to see because they were shut down. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gives you a little bit of something nice and pleasant to watch, instead of maybe take you a little bit outside of the worries and concerns that you have. At least that's my hope, that this video will accomplish that. And please enjoy. And also remember to, if you like this video or any of the other ones that I put out, to like and subscribe, because it really does help my channel to grow, and it encourages me to keep on producing new videos. And excuse me for that. Somebody must be outside our door. My dog's going crazy. But that's my cue, I think, to stop talking. And I hope you enjoy this video. Bye. I didn't realize how huge Ontario was until we started driving it. It took us about 3 days just to get out of Ontario before we finally hit Manitoba. And then we went through Saskatchewan and then Alberta. And we ended up spending a few days, I think 5 days in Alberta, because we wanted to visit Banff. So you'll see that later on. What a thrill it was to finally see the mountains. This is what this trip was about. I wanted to travel out west for so long just to see the mountains, and it did not disappoint. We made so many stops along the way. to try and get pictures. And at one point we just had to stop because we were never going to make it out west at that rate. But it was just so breathtaking and beautiful. And here we are in Lake Louise. So this is not far from where we were staying. We were staying in a resort in Banff. We were very fortunate to be able to do that. Now, I did mention at the beginning of this video that I crocheted all the way out west, and then I knit all the way when we were returning back home. So this was the project that I was working on. And when we visited Lake Louise, I just knew that this was the location that I was going to have to take pictures of the finished garment, because it was so beautiful. So at this point, the project was not finished. It was far from finished. But my husband, because he's such a trooper, and we were only going to be here for a few days, he helped me to work on it. And you could see him there. He was weaving in the ends while I worked like the wind to try and get it done. And this was the final result. And aren't these pictures amazing? It was so worth the hard work and extra effort. So we just worked like crazy to get this design finished so that we could get those amazing photographs. So far on this trip, what has been some of the highlights for you?
For me, being with you. That's the biggest highlight.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to say. I think the gondola. I think Sulphur Mountain was, as far as things that we saw, I think is the best.
Hi everybody, we're on a gondola ride. We're in the Rocky Mountains. I'm sure you can see that behind us. And we are absolutely loving this trip. So what do you think of our trip so far?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. Can't beat it. Oh, look at the river down there, huh? Ooh, that's disconcerting when it goes.
Oh, look at that, yeah. This is absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah, it is.
As if seeing this amazing view wasn't enough, we were able to experience another wonderful treat: the bighorn sheep. The staff that work here, they were all commenting that most of them, in all the years that they've worked at this location, the bighorn sheep have never come to visit. So we felt so privileged that the day that we were there, that we got to see these gorgeous, beautiful, majestic creatures. And my husband took tons of pictures of them because that's his thing. He loves photography, especially of wildlife. So he was just in his glory.
There'll be all kinds of different colors in here.
So this restaurant that we're at, it was at the near the peak of the mountain, and they had what they called was a skywalk, and you could walk across this skywalk to another peak of the mountain. So that's what we decided to do after we were done our lunch, and we met another little creature here. I'm not sure what it is. It's some kind of mountain squirrel. See, look at the size of that.
I know.
Is that a...
That is not your burger. That burger's for our puppy.
Take a picture.
You can't have that. No.
You getting pictures?
Hey, get out of there. No, that is not yours. Go. This way.
I can hear it over this way. See, it's going that way, so it must be over here. The falls must be over here. I can't even begin to describe how many amazing natural sights there are to see in Alberta. I mean, we barely touch the surface of what there is. This was one of the places that we heard about, this falls. There's waterfalls everywhere, but this one was particularly special. The only problem is we couldn't figure out how to get to it. We had our GPS and got to the location, but this is where it took us. And we soon discovered that,
like, look at that.
This
we are not walking down that.
bit of a treacherous trail was just not going to work for us. So we did eventually find how to actually get to where we wanted to go. And boy, was it worth it. Even though we had this bit of a diversion, we did make it, and it was just fantastic.
Oh, crap. Yeah, we'll definitely find an easier way. do you think, mister? You think this is worth the trip?
What's that?
You think this is worth the trip?
What do you think?
Yep. Absolutely.
So this was the last place that we visited before we reached our destination where we were going to be staying in BC. As I mentioned, we planned on spending the summer in a cottage in the mountains of BC, and here we are.
Hey.
And our puppy was so happy to be able to stretch his legs after days and days in the truck. But we finally arrived. This is the river that is literally like just a few feet away. And then you can see the mountains in the background. It was just a beautiful location to be. And we planned on staying here for a couple of months, and this is where we were going to be dyeing yarn. That was the plan. And good thing too,
Can't
because
even see the mountain because of all the
on the way out west, I kept my online shop open, and all of my yarn sold. You can see me here pointing. That's our little cottage that we're staying at. Yeah, all of my yarn sold out of my online shop, and that has never happened before. So what we had to do was find the yarn, because we had it in a trailer and we had all of our other stuff, so the yarn was all buried. So we had to find it, we had to sort it out, get it organized, and then we had to pack and ship orders out, and then think about restocking my shop. So that we did not plan on happening, but we got through it. We got all of the orders organized and we got it shipped out in time. And here you can just see us in the process of doing that. Thank you for watching part 1 of our cross-country road trip. I hope you enjoyed it. It has been really fun for me to look through these videos and just think about the fond memories that we had of this amazing trip. So part 2 will be coming soon. I'll have that up shortly. And in part 2, I'm going to be focusing more on all the dyeing that we did. So I dyed yarn for my shop to restock it, so I'll show a little bit of us doing that. And also I was able to collaborate with another designer. So not only did I collaborate with Caitlin Hunter, which I mentioned earlier in the introduction, but also Laura Nelkin. I've worked with her in the past, and I was able to dye a large order of yarn for her again for a design that she did. So you'll see a bit of that as well as some other locations that we visited while we were in BC and Vancouver Island. So I can't wait to show you those things, and until then, stay healthy, and until next time, bye.